Welcome back, anime fans, to Ghost in the Cloud, your anime podcast, where each week we discuss a different anime show or movie. My name is John, and with me is my co-host, Bridget.
Hey.
This week we are discussing Children of the Whales, which is a very interesting Netflix show currently available to you. But before we get into it, we're going to jump into some anime news.
Yeah, finally we have an abundance of anime news to share with you.
Bandai Namco Entertainment Dragon Ball Legends smartphone game launched this past week. The game features 1v1 card action battles with one finger tap mechanics. Players will take on a role of a new character designed by Akira Toriyama, the creator of Dragon Ball, for an original story and will be able to compete against opponents worldwide. The game will have 3D graphics and be fully voiced. The upcoming Dragon Ball Super film will also collaborate with the game.
I bet you were excited about that.
I am excited. I'm looking forward. I just downloaded it earlier. I'm looking forward to giving it a go.
Alright, so Funimation Entertainment announced on Wednesday that it will screen the world premiere of the first episode of Attack on Titan Season 3. What? In 130 USA and Canadian theaters. It'll be on July 10th and 11th. The event will also include the screening of Attack on Titan, The Roar of Awakening. It's the film recap of Attack on Titan Season 2 for those who miss it. And screening on Tuesday, July 10th, will be the Japanese with English subtitles, while screening also on Wednesday, July 11th, it'll be the English dub, so you have an option. And the screening will be the first time an installment of Attack on Titan anime franchise will have its world premiere in North America. And the third season of Attack on Titan will premiere in Japan on July 22nd.
I think that just goes to show how fast anime is growing in general, especially in the West.
Yeah, it's everywhere now. Yeah. And I think it's great that they have like a recap of Season 2 because I'm a little behind on Season 2, but I wouldn't mind seeing this in the theater. I think that'd be great.
Yeah, we can definitely look into it. Next up, entertainment news source Variety reported on Wednesday that James Marsden of Westworld and X-Men fame will star in Paramount Pictures' Sonic the Hedgehog film. Unfortunately, the name of Marston's character is yet to be revealed. The live-action CGI hybrid film is slated to open on November 15th, 2019. I don't know who's asking for a Sonic the Hedgehog movie. A live-action CGI mix. I don't get that.
I think CGI is becoming live-action. I know Disney's doing it a lot right now, so maybe that's why they want to get on that bandwagon.
James Marsden I like him. I think he's a good actor.
It's
a weird choice.
Like, I see him and I'm like, oh, you're Cyclops from X-Men. But, like, yeah, maybe he's just a big fan, but it's a weird pairing, in my opinion.
So, this is some interesting news. The official website for Crayon Shin-chan anime announced on Friday that voice actress Akiko Yajima will step down from her role as the show's protagonist, Shinosuke Nohara, after voicing the character since the show's premiere in 1992. The last episode featuring Yajima's voice acting will premiere on June 29th. The new cast member will debut in the show in early July. Yajima said that it has become more difficult for her to produce the character's voice naturally. She came to the decision to step down from the role after consulting with the anime staff. After the June 29th episode, Yajima will have voiced the character for 26 years and 3 months.
Wow.
It's kind of crazy.
That is crazy.
These long-running animes blow my mind sometimes.
Yeah.
They really do. Because after that long, you have to reinvent yourself to a degree to continually bring in new people and keep the old. It's so strange. The show is consistently one of the most watched anime series in Japan. The anime also has a series of 25 films. The latest film, I'm going to attempt this, Iga Krea Shinshan Bakumori Kung Fu Boys Ramen Taran, which translates to Crayon Shinshan the movie Bakumori Kung Fu Boys Ramen Rebellion, opened in Japan on April 13th, and it ranked at number 2 in the Japanese box office in its opening weekend. I love it. I love
That's cute.
When we go to Japan, we should definitely pick a day to just go to a movie theater to see anime in the theater. I think that'd be a cool experience.
I think we'll be seeing anime everywhere. They have it on Dorito bags and commercials and everything. And I'm really looking forward to seeing that. How integrated anime is into their culture now. Because it's awesome. And then last up for anime news, a Final Fantasy XIV Orchestra Symphony concert is being held in Los Angeles this month on July 15th. And 16th, and the music comes straight from the game. So I'm a huge fan of Final Fantasy XIV. I played online. I'm in the process of getting a couple friends on there too. I just find this game to be the most visually beautiful game that I've ever played. And then the music, every time I play it, the music is just absolutely fantastic. And even you hear me play the game, you're like, the music is really good.
It is.
And now you can hear it live in this orchestra. And if I was in Los Angeles, I would be there. I would be buying tickets right now. So if you're in the area, I highly recommend it. And then after Los Angeles event, they will be heading to Germany in August, which is awesome. So check out the episode description for the link to this event website. If you can make this, I highly recommend it.
And let us know what you think
Yes.
if you do. All right, on to our anime of the week. Children of the Whales is a Japanese manga series written and illustrated by Abi Umeda. The manga is licensed in North America by Viz Media. An anime television series adaptation by JC Staff aired in Japan from October to December 2017 and was released globally on Netflix in March 2018.
We also already mentioned the word of the week, which is whale, which is kujira.
Kujira, K-U-J-I.
Oh, my
Kujira.
eyes are bugging out from that word. There's so many dots in there. Oh, it's Kujira. You're right.
Kujira.
Right.
The story focuses on a boy called Chakuro, who lives on a giant vessel called the Mud Whale that drifts over the Sea of Sand. In the Mud Whale, society is divided into two kinds of people. The marked, who can move objects with their minds using a strange power called thymia at the expense of shortened lifespans, and the unmarked, people who lack thymia but fortunately enjoy longer lifespans. Chakura and his friends have never seen anyone from the outside world, and they spend their days yearning to explore and learn about it. In year 93 of the vessel's exile, the Mudwell encounters a lonely island, and Chakuro finds a girl, starting an adventure that changes the lives of everyone.
Dun, dun, dun.
So what brought us to this anime? I think Bridget recommended it. She had heard that it was good.
I heard it was good, and it was on Netflix. And I was like, you know what? We haven't done a Netflix exclusive anime yet on our show. And that was something I wanted to change. And I don't know if this was funded by Netflix. I only know that I don't know if it was produced. I know that it did air first in Japan, but now it is exclusive on Netflix. So they probably took it and they got it out there and made it available to the world. And I really like it.
I actually was very skeptical the first 2 episodes.
Yeah.
And after the second episode, though, I was just like, wow, you threw me a curveball. And I was very excited.
I honestly, my first impression was that it was going to be kind of cutesy, feel-good kind of show, because the artwork of the show almost looks like a watercolor storybook in the background. It looks like you're reading a story. And it's, it's beautifully done, but you have these very cute looking characters. I don't know, very soft, I feel. Soft in colors and their eyes. Everything looks gentle about the show. And then the curveball.
So, spoiler warning for Children of the Whales from here on out.
Sorry.
So, the curveball comes in the form of this female, was born outside of this island. This island floats in this sea of sand. It is, as we mentioned, it's exiled. So all these people on this island have been exiled. Now they're generations later.
They don't know that
From the
they're
original
exiles.
exile, they don't necessarily know that they're exiles. They just know, they don't know anything outside of their island, which is an interesting concept, right? The idea of a society that has not been brought into the larger world.
Yeah.
Which is a cool idea. And that I was completely on board with. What threw me for a loop initially was the English version.
Yeah.
So it's really bad.
Yeah, it's not good.
There's over-explanation of everything. In the English version, it seems, really irritating. That said, the second the English version started, I recognized the main character's voice. I'm like, I know that voice from somewhere. Where have I heard that before? And I looked it up, and now I don't remember the actor's name, but I thought it was funny because the actor who plays Chakuro, or at least is doing Chakuro's voice, he was the second Black Ranger from the Power Rangers, Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. So
no wonder you recognize it.
No, it was interesting, though, because I know he's been working on a lot of American animes. He does a lot of voice acting. But I just thought that was interesting. That said, English version sucks.
It was really dry.
It was so dry and so boring.
And
there just seemed no emotion.
It doesn't sound natural. It doesn't.
Yeah,
it's not believable. And once we switched over to the Japanese, it was
I wonder
a godsend.
We switched over to Japanese and it was so much better. Even the explanation wasn't bad in the fact that how it was done. I don't know, maybe it was originally in Japanese, maybe they did a direct translation and that's why it seems dry. They don't sort of rewrite the script to a degree where it would make more sense in an English language.
Right, because it doesn't always translate well from Japanese to English, and sometimes I think that it shows that they don't really take the time to have it flow better like the English language. They just direct translation, there you go. So I recommend listening to it in Japanese with English subtitles.
Definitely. as we said, this show came across to us as very original. All the characters are, to a degree, they're like typical in a way, like the way they're drawn, but their archetypes are so interesting. So Chakra, who's the main character, he's this kind of like nerdy kid.
He's the nerd of the group.
He's the bookkeeper of the whole island. Like he writes down everything. Like he's literally writing their history. But he's not the strongest character. He's not like the most well-liked character.
Yep, he's not
and
the
I'm
one
just
in
like,
charge.
Oh, that's a nice change. That's interesting.
He's really one of the side characters. Like
I don't know. He's definitely the main character.
We follow him as the main character, but in this culture, he's just another guy.
What is awesome about this anime is that every character, every main character, and I put that in quotation marks, they have like a fair share of importance. You know, it's not like a story like, let's use Dragon Ball for example, where Goku is the main character. Like
it's all about Goku.
Although you want to see everyone else's story, Goku's story is what drives the show. And it's not Chakro's story that drives the show. It's literally the story of the island.
Yep.
And its residents that drives the show. And I thought that was a really cool just takeaway.
And I really like their culture because they're isolated. They have this very pure, very balanced, very respectful culture. Everyone just gets along. And you have the occasional troublemaker, but they have a very simple sentence. You have to be in this dungeon underground for a few days so you can think about what you've done. Like, it's very, very gentle, as I said. Like, I really enjoyed the culture, which really made a nice contrast for what comes later. The show, I feel like it's so successful because you said it's so different, but like it's a weird kind of different. Like we would be like, oh, that's weird, but we remember it and it's nothing like anything we've seen before. I mean, an ocean of sand instead of water. Something like a simple detail like that, I feel like made the show infinitely more interesting.
Yeah, it's a weird just sort of switch because like we know. So like I was saying to Bridget, if it's water, you can just have a regular ship. We know what ships are. We know how they work.
We're just like, oh, it's a ship
the fact
on the
that
water.
it's sand, and this is an island that literally moves on its own, it drifts by itself. I thought that was a really cool concept. And you find out how that island sort of works, which is a little weird.
It is really weird.
Like, this show is weird. That's a great word for it. It throws you a lot of curveballs, and it just, although it explains a lot, it doesn't explain the things that you necessarily want them to explain. Like the power thymia. It is given to the residents randomly, so we believe, of the island from this creature that literally, this soul, the Nuos, I think it's called.
Yeah.
The soul of this island. It's this like otherworldly, magical, maybe alien-like creature.
I think they mentioned one time in passing about their faith, that they fell from the heavens, that they were like once part of their religion or something like that. But I don't think they actually know where they came from. But they believe they were once godly.
So yeah, these creatures, they take on this island form or the ship form or however they're being used, and they create this island, like things grow on it for like nourishment, food. They manage to take the island of sand ultimately and like turn it into buildings, and they have paper, they have pen, they have ways to write. Like it's very interesting. Everything is on this island. It's very isolated, but there is the double-edged sword.
Right.
So you have two types of people, as we mentioned, the marked and the unmarked. The unmarked are regular everyday people. They live normal lives. They have no special abilities. Then you have the marked. The marked people have this power called thymia, which is granted by the Nuos, right? The mud whale is what they refer to them as.
Yeah.
And this power, essentially, I guess, is like telekinesis. Like
they're able to move with their
things
minds.
with their mind, or enhance certain abilities, or it's interesting. It's interesting. I wish they would explain that a little more. I just don't think they have an idea of what it is. They're just like, oh, let's just call it this, and it's psychic powers,
Yeah.
But if you're a marked person who uses this ability, it actually drains you of your life.
Right.
And you die very young.
Most people don't live past 30.
Yeah, past 30. And that is a big theme of this show. Death is a huge theme of the show, and you get it very early on. They introduce this character called Sammy. She's Chakaro's like best friend and potential love interest. They've known each other forever since childhood, and they kill her. They just straight up kill her.
And she's a little girl. A little girl.
Children are dying. Adults are dying.
Brutally.
It is weird. It is really strange.
I was not expecting
surprising. That. Yeah. And kudos to the creators of this for being able to do that. What happens is this island has been in exile for 93 years. It has been exiled by the mainland, and only the elders of the island really remember this in any way. One day, those who had exiled the people people of the Mud Whale show up.
Yeah, they decided, all right, it's time to kill you.
They invade and they start attacking with no questions, no remorse, nothing. And you find out that there are other Nuos creatures. The Mud Whale is different compared to the other ones. So the Mud Whale gives them power of Thymia
at the cost of their life.
For the cost of their life. Where in other versions, it doesn't shorten their life, it actually takes away their emotions. So they don't feel sadness.
Yeah. No love, no compassion.
No compassion. Nothing. I don't think they do a great job at explaining that or not explaining it, but like showing that, because there are some characters, especially the bad characters like Orca and Luntari. Luntari's like this general, I guess you could call him, in the bad army. He's this purple-haired, short little kid psychopath that gets enjoyment, which is an emotion. Like he feels happy about killing people. Like he has no remorse about it.
I think it's exciting for him because his problem is that when he kills people or when he's hunting people down, they don't show fear. Whereas the people on the Mud Whale, they're crying, they're screaming, they're fighting back. It's such a different reaction from what he's used to that he craves more. But it just seems so much like emotions. So it's very blurred, I feel like, that line.
So to get back to some of the main characters, we have Suo, who's an unmarked, and he ends up being the mayor of the island after the previous mayor
was slaughtered
in this attack. And he is this handsome, sort of like almost feminine-like man. He's got this long flowing hair, like everyone just thinks he's the most beautiful thing they've ever seen.
Yeah.
But he's kind, and he's truly he's a pacifist.
Yeah.
He loves people. He doesn't understand why fighting even happened. He prays, and that's a very big thing of this show. There's like a lot of prayer involved.
Yeah,
and
they pray to the Mud Whale and to their community.
Yeah. You have Chakra, who's I guess the main character. He's not, the thing is, like, he's not an annoying character, but I don't know if he's necessarily a memorable character either.
He's kind of a wuss, which again it eliminates that trope that the main character
but like you have to understand
the
way that he's been raised. He's never had to fight. Like he is literally someone who he writes down the history of the island. He makes sure that anyone who has passed, like, their names are carved in their history.
Yeah.
Which is a cool concept. I like the fact that he's not the fighter. He's not this like overarching character. Like everyone has their fair share. They do call him the Destroyer because he doesn't have the greatest control over his Thymia. Which is fun. You have Lycos, who is the female they find on the random floating island, which ultimately brings the Empire, I believe they're referred to as, down on top of them. She is of this other country, and she also does not have emotions initially. But when she's essentially, I guess, captured or brought to their island, because she's on that island, her emotions begin to return. So there's some kind of like field length of...
Yeah, you definitely have to be in, like, I guess...
some kind of radius.
I think it maybe just wears off. I think it's something you have to constantly keep doing. It slowly wore off. I mean, she even showed them the Nuos on that island. She said, I guess they physically reach in there and give their emotions away. And if you don't keep going back, then you lose that.
Yeah.
But now she's on the Mud Whale, so she still has abilities, but should probably have a shorter lifespan if she stays there.
And then you have this character, Oni. And Oni is probably the coolest character.
He's the badass guy.
Like maybe late teens, early 20s character. He's a badass. He also is essentially the Anakin Skywalker of the show because no one knows where he came from. He just appeared one day, and like there are rumors that he maybe have been created by the Mud Whale itself, like another character, Neri, who you thought was just a regular unmarked character, and all of a sudden she ends up being like part of the Mud Whale, like an entity.
She was she called the Nuos their mama, like the mother, and she was created like a child form after the Nuos, and she could do anything. She literally flies.
You do have a weird character, and I keep using that term, weird.
But weird is, honestly, like I've always said my whole life, that weird is a compliment. It means that you're different from everyone else, and that's hard to do in such a saturated field like anime. There's so much out there. You think, every idea's been done in one way or another, but like I feel like this show again and again kept coming up with something that was just different. It was different to the eyes, like having this island that was a ship and the ocean is sand. Like I just feel like there was so many different themes in here that was refreshing. So I think weird is a compliment.
Well, Sean maybe, he is the captain of the guard of the Mud Whale. They do have like a small, I guess, militia like company where where if people get out of control, they send them in to sort of take care and bring them in to like just
keep
sort
the
of
peace.
calm down, keep the peace, right? Because things do happen. But he's different than everyone else. He looks older to me. He also has a very distinctive damaged eye.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on with
it almost looks
that.
like his mother, who you eventually meet, refers to him almost as like cursed. He doesn't have feelings to the degree everyone else has. He has a wife. He's not a caring person. It's interesting to see, like, he has a different relationship with the mud whale than everyone else on the island, and you don't understand why. So I'm hoping they do explain that in the next season, which there will be.
His wife literally killed herself because she couldn't be with him anymore, which was brutal.
Yeah, it's really, like, there's suicide, there's murder,
right,
genocide. It's a really intense show. And I think that's what makes it really good. It's really bizarre, and there are a few things that are at times hard to follow, but for the most part, it's really, really interesting, really different.
I think that the biggest issue with the show is that they don't, like you said, they don't explain everything that should have been explained. There's so much going on, but the fundamental forces behind everything, this is never fully explained to us. Like, why is it the way it is? You know, what made these people outlaw those with emotion in the first place? Like, it's just very bizarre. What we do get is fantastic.
So the main driving point of this show, you have like groups of different people who want different things on the island. Oni has like a small group of followers, and all they want to do is get out and see the rest of the world.
Yeah.
Right?
They feel like trapped.
You have characters like Suo, he's the mayor, he's an unmarked, but like he's dedicated his whole life to trying to figure out a way, because he's unaware how the Nuos works, a way to extend the lives of the marked. He doesn't want to see these people die so young. He wants them to live long lives. The quest is that they want to get out there ultimately, especially after their first encounter with the Empire. They want to know what else is out there. They're so shocked that they not only meet people, but that there are people who want to kill them that they've never met before.
Right. Yeah, it changes like their dreams of like
they also have a very primitive understanding of the world. Towards the end of the season, which is only I think 12 episodes long, another set of travelers happen upon their island. Unfortunately, they're nice people. They're not like out
for the most part.
Yeah, for the most part. They're not out to kill them, and they explain how the world works and what's going on, like that there are oceans, like typical oceans out there. They're stuck in this sea of sand because
they didn't know
the
what a map
Nuos
was.
Doesn't have a way to control its movement.
The guy's like, here, I'll show you a map of the world. And he's like, what's that? They put down the map, and they were like absolutely crazy about it. They actually can see what's out there. He pointed out like where the other ships are and the countries, and I think the show leaves off with them heading in the direction of that country, which happens to be the enemy of their enemy, which makes them friends, which worked out really well. So apparently there's other countries out there that also have feelings that are completely against this empire, as they call themselves, and they're like tyrannies. They're like the Empire in Star Wars.
Now, the Empire that we're referring to wants to keep them hidden. They don't want other nations to realize what they've done. And they don't really explain why. There are these multiple nations, and almost like, it looks as if like they're almost like real world sort of style buildings and stuff like that.
Yeah, more modernized.
We're not really sure how the Nuos fit into the overarching world.
Right, because they clearly don't take their emotions away in this other country.
Yeah, it's very strange. But the Mudwell ultimately becomes either a prison for some or a paradise for others. Suo and Chaguro, they've never known anything outside of their world. Now, occasionally there have been islands that have drifted by, that they've raided and stuff, but they've never found anybody on them. You know, it was always desolate islands. They're happy on the Mudwhale. They are upset that they have shortened lives for the Mart, but they're happy. And then you have characters like Oni and Lycos. Like Lycos, who's seen the outside world and understands both its beauty and its destructiveness. And then you have Oni, who's just craving. He wants to know what's beyond the sand, the dunes of sand. He needs to know, and he gets that with this empire, and he's shocked.
He definitely had his share of it.
Many of his friends die, and like it brings him to sort of just this realization that the world is crazy. The Mudwhale is a prison, but it is also a paradise.
Right,
at the same time.
And I think at that time he was finally able to appreciate the island as the paradise as well. And he has the unusual ability where he can use his powers in close proximity of the Nuos. Usually no one else can do that, which really makes me think, like you were saying, that he was created by the Mudwhale. I'm thinking of Moana right now. I could just think of like this community that's isolated. They don't believe in leaving the island. And there's this one character that just believes in getting out there and seeing the world, even though it's taboo, and gets in trouble for it. And I don't know, I see parallels there a little bit. But yeah, just a beautiful show. Beautiful, but brutal.
Something I like about the show is that no character seems to be safe.
Anyone could die.
They introduced, like in the first 2 episodes, we have the character of Sammy. And I'm just like, oh, okay, I can see what they're doing with her character. And then they kill her. And it's just like, what?
I know. I was like, but they were supposed to be like a couple. They liked each other. And then they got them.
It's a really interesting show. It's very different from typical animes. I recommend checking it out.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it has a lot of death in there, but they don't get too gruesome with the drawing style. They still have it very like simple, stylized. They don't show you too much other than the people actually dying. So I feel like that balances out a bit. But it is very Game of Thrones. Everyone, like no one is safe. Everyone can die. But it makes it really interesting. So I also highly recommend the show. And it does say to be continued, that more is to come. So
and it's only 12 episodes. So yeah, it's going to be a quick watch. It's going to be a quick watch.
It's only on Netflix. I'm sure more is to come, so we'll let you guys know when another season is out.
So what's next for us? We received an email from Thomas, who reached out once before regarding some of the longer running shows like Pokemon and Naruto and such.
Yeah.
We understand, and you guys obviously know how long some of those shows are, and we want to be able to do them. So we're kind of thinking maybe we'll do a compromise. I have, on Blu-ray, Pokemon the first movie, Pokemon the movie 2000, and Pokemon the third movie. And I'm thinking maybe over the course of next few weeks, we'll do each of those. We are almost done with Dragon Ball, the original.
We're so close to finishing
So we'll be jumping onto Dragon Ball Z after that, and I cannot wait to start Dragon Ball Super.
I think Dragon Ball, are we going to break Dragon Ball Z up?
We're going to have to.
No. I mean, as often as it's broken up into Dragon Ball, or are we going to do like 2 or 3 big
I think that's something we'll have to discuss further.
You guys will know when we figure it out.
But we were thinking our next episode will be Pokemon the first movie, which has a place in my heart. I love that movie. And if everyone were to watch that movie and understand the lessons that it's teaching you, the world would be a better place.
I say that a lot about anime. I feel like most anime has such a positive message that if everyone watched anime, it would just be a nicer, happier world to live in. I have to admit that I've never seen that movie, the Pokemon movie.
It's so good. It's so good.
So we'll be watching it, and it'll be our next week's episode. So for all things GIC Anime, check out our website at gitcanime.com. If you'd like to email us, send your questions or your feedback, you can send it to gitcanime@gmail.com. You can find us on iTunes, YouTube, Google Play, and SoundCloud, and that's where I put together the soundtrack for each week's episode or for show or movie that we cover. And I mean, the music is always a big part of the show, so I highly recommend you go on SoundCloud and listen to that. And please rate, review, and subscribe. That is a great help for us to help get our show out there. Help us by telling your friends about our show if you want us to get out there. I mean, anime's the best, so you can find us on Facebook and Twitter. All the links are on our website at the bottom, or you can just do a search for hashtag GITC Anime. So if you truly love our show and you want to support us, please go on to Patreon. You can find our Patreon link on our support page of our website, or just look for patreon.com/GITC Anime and get a good look at our tiers on there. We might be kind of switching them around a little bit to get more available to the lower tiers, but there's a lot on there for rewards for sponsoring our show. And thank you to Anthony for our theme song.
Check out his podcast at What's Your Fortune on iTunes.
And thank you to our Patreons and to all our loyal listeners.
We really appreciate it, guys.
Next week.
Bye.
Meow.